Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, members of the MAG Human Services Technical Committee. This meeting is now called to order. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube as a way for members of the public to participate. Please state your name when making a comment or asking a question, and I will ask that you keep your microphones on mute when you are not speaking. We will now begin the meeting with the roll call for all members. Mimi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Karen Bishop. Vice Chair Dyke. Oh, thank you, Karen.
It took me a while to unmute myself.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. Vice Chair Melanie Dykstra.
Here.
Seth Dyson. Jerry Guhardro.
Here.
Eliana Godino.
Here.
Susan Hallett.
Sorry, I took me a minute to get everything working. Here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mary Lynn Kasnick.
Here.
Chair Panatis, Chair. Chair Christina, can you pronounce your last name for me?
Panatescu. Here.
There it is. Thank you. Sean Pierce. Chris Charlow. Amber Wakeman.
Here.
Christian Zabowski on behalf of Phil Yabez.
Here.
And Lisa Maddox. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. You have quorum.
Great, thank you. Just for clarification and future roll calls, was Sean Pierce on in the capacity as his role with the county, because he's not with the county anymore?
I did not receive word that he was no longer with the county, so thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Sure, you bet. Might want to reach out to Jason Matthews.
Okay.
In
thank
the
you.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, we got that roll call. Our next item is a call to the audience. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda, or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Members of the public could submit written comments via the MAG website 2 hours prior to the meeting. Mimi, do we have any written comments for this item?
Madam Chair, there are no written comments for this item or future items on the agenda.
Great, thank you, Mimi. Our next item is the approval of the April 11th, 2024 meeting minutes. I believe we do have at least one change to the minutes.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Karen Bishop. It was noted in the minutes that I had attended the April meeting and I was not able to. I had a proxy. Her name is Elizabeth Garcia.
Thank you. And thank you for sending a proxy in your absence. Now, with that change to the minutes, can I get a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
There's a second.
I'll second. This is Karen.
Great, thank you. Motion from Vice Chair Melanie Dykstra and a second from Karen Bishop. We will now have the members take part in the voice vote by turning on your cameras and unmuting your audio. If you cannot or do not want to turn on your camera, we'll conduct a roll call vote. Members, please leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote. Can I have a voice vote from members? Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And any opposed, please say nay. Great. Mimi, do we need a roll call of any of the members who were unable to participate with the camera on?
Madam Chair, it looks like one member did not turn their camera on. We'll ask for her vote. Amber Wakeman, how do you vote?
Oh, sorry, aye.
Thank you. Okay,
Great.
the motion passes, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Moving on to item 4, the next agenda item is an update on the housing opportunities in mentorship and education technical assistance program. also known as Home TA. Amy St. Peter, MAG Deputy, sorry, just lost my view here. MAG Deputy, what is your title? Executive Director will present on this update. Welcome, Amy, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Very pleased to be able to continue this conversation with you. Your input on this project has really been instrumental. The goal of the Home TA program is to be able to support you in both building and preserving housing that's affordable for your communities. We're doing this by connecting very qualified consultants with local and tribal governments who have requests in some very specific areas. This follows on the webinar series that we held last year in partnership with Arizona Community Foundation's Affordable Housing Collaborative. We're continuing to work with Arizona Community Foundation and other partners to be able to deliver this program. The webinar series was very good, but it was more general. We had a couple hundred people signing up for each webinar. So of course, by necessity, that was a more general kind of message. This activity will be much more custom tailored. And so we're very much wanting to hear from local and tribal governments what topics are of interest to them in building and preserving housing that's affordable. And this committee has really helped be the main line of communication. And so we appreciate all of your support in this project. Purpose of today's presentation is to offer an update and to invite your continued support and partnership on this. Can we go to the next slide, please? Just to level set, this is our overall time frame. We developed an inventory in the spring, in March and April. We'll touch on the topics that were identified as part of that process. We did complete our request for qualifications. We'll give an update on that and the consultants who have been identified. And then we'll seek your input, particularly on the mini conference that's scheduled for August 13th. So we hope that you'll be able to join us on that day and that you'll be able to help us shape what that looks like. All of this will is driving toward being able to connect local and tribal governments with the consultant who will deliver that customized assistance. And then we'll develop a final report that will highlight the lessons learned, the tools developed through the provision of that technical assistance. And we'll make that report available to other communities throughout Arizona and beyond as a way of really amplifying the insights gleaned during this process. Can we go on to the next slide, please? These are the just examples of the kinds of topics that were identified during that inventory. Really appreciate your committee discussion was very helpful to us. We also met with your chair and vice chair, and they provided some really good feedback that helped us to shape what that looked like. We did issue that survey, and we had a great participation in folks completing that survey. And this is what it yielded. It let us know what were the highest priority items. And these were the basis for the scope of work that was included in the request for qualifications as we identified the consultant that can help us. So housing studies and assessments, that was the #1 request. People are really interested in that. We have some great examples of housing studies and assessments that have already been done. And we also have some very good tools that are available online that can really help us to fully leverage the funding that we have, because we're not starting from scratch. We can look to some really great examples of work that's already been done in this region and then adapt and those bodies of work to other communities, and also building on the online resources that are available. There's also a lot of support around how do we work better with the developers, because they're an important partner, but they have different pain points and different drivers. So we're wanting to help with that work. Some of the topics that were identified are also being addressed by other partners in the community, such as the model ordinances. The League of Arizona Cities and Towns, they've done extensive work on that, and they have some really great tools, and they're a partner in this process as well. So if there's a partner that can provide the assistance for free, we'll of course leverage that opportunity. But a lot of the technical assistance will be provided by the consultant that we'll be bringing on board. Next slide, please. So this is our timeline right now for the current period. In April, we did release that request for qualifications. We're excited to be able to have one really qualified proposal be submitted that was evaluated by our team. Thank you to those of you who participated on that evaluation team. And the consultant selection will be offered for approval on Monday. So that is the Matrix Design Group. They applied for they submitted their application. The application actually covers all of the areas, all of the topics that were listed in the request for qualifications. There are, of course, other partners such as the League of Arizona Cities and Towns who might also be able to provide additional assistance, but that is going to that selection is going to our executive committee on Monday of next week, June 17th. We're hopeful for a positive vote on that, and then we'll be ready to proceed and start working with the Matrix Design Group. So that committee approval then is scheduled for June 17th. Then the next step from there is to begin planning a mini conference. The idea actually came from our chair and vice chair of this committee, because sometimes communities could just use some more context to help them submit a really informed and thorough request for assistance. And so we're holding this mini conference. We'll work with the Matrix Design Group to be able to give presentations and different workshops on the topics that are identified as part of that menu of options that communities can select from. And then after that, communities will be invited to submit their applications to receive assistance. It'll be very streamlined, very simple. It's really a way for us to be clear on what kind of assistance you are requesting. We hope that everyone here does submit those requests for assistance. We'll be offering that assistance through a variety of different mechanisms. If it's very, very customized and particularly more sensitive kinds of topics, then that will be given just one-on-one between the local or tribal government and the consultant. If there's a small peer group that might be interested about a similar topic and maybe it's not sensitive, then we can do peer learning groups with maybe 3 to 4 different communities that have a lot in common and share a common interest. If it's a bigger, broader kind of training, then we'll open that up to everybody, of course. So we'll have multiple opportunities and multiple ways that people can engage in this process. Can we go to the next slide, please? So looking forward, August 13th is the date for that mini conference. We do hope that you'll put that day on your calendars. That event will be held here at MAG, and we'll have our plenary sessions in the SOAR room, and then we have other smaller conference rooms reserved for those breakout sessions. So if you could just reserve that day, that would be fantastic. We'll have more details to come, and appreciate any input or feedback that you might have on how to shape that event in the best way possible now. In September, then we'll invite your proposals, your applications for assistance, and then we'll match you up with the right person at Matrix, or if there's a community partner, we'll do that as well. We'll be very, very specific with Matrix to make sure that they're delivering to you what will be the most useful product possible. And so your input is really helpful in that regard. And then in October, the technical assistance will begin. We're really excited about that. The technical assistance will continue on then for just over up to a year. So October of 2025 is when we'll start to collect those tools that have been developed, the insights gleaned, and start drafting that final report that will then be reflected back to this committee for your approval, and then we'll share it more broadly throughout Arizona. And we are hoping to share this on national stages as well. We think that housing that's affordable is a key issue right now that communities throughout the country are facing. And we think that the work that's underway here and that will be underway as a result of this project will offer some really good insights to others who can use those as well. We can go to the next slide, please. Sapna is a point person on this project. She is covering another meeting, and so that's why I am presenting here today. But we are working together on this grant. I'm very thankful to JP Morgan Chase for their funding of this project. We have also received an invitation to apply from another foundation, and that if granted, we'll be able to provide even more funding, and so we'll be able to help even more communities with this work. So cross your fingers for that. That proposal is due in July. If we are successful, then we'll incorporate that funding and be able to offer more assistance through this same project and working through the same process. So again, I want to thank you for all of the input that you've provided to date, and would love to open the floor if you have any questions or input. Thank you, Madam Chair. Back to you.
Thank you, Amy. One question on the date. You've shared the date of the event, but can you be a little more specific on the time? Is it going to be the full day, or?
Anticipating probably more of like a 10 to 2 kind of time frame, and then we'll serve lunch here at the office. So giving folks time to get to MAG and then hopefully get back to home or office before rush hour kicks in too heavily.
That's great. Are there any other questions for Amy?
I had a quick question. It's Melanie. So I know we had talked about the conference, mini one like that. I don't remember if we had said in person. What was the reasoning before the in person versus like almost like a webinar type of thing?
Well, it can be hybrid as well. So we're happy to offer that virtual option. We understand that's very handy. And then offering the in-person as well, because sometimes people have different learning styles, and sometimes just being able to talk with folks between sessions, between presentations can be really helpful as well. We're very much wanting to help with the networking. And sometimes that's facilitated pretty well by being in person, but we do want to offer that virtual option as well to make the event hybrid.
Okay. And then when do you think you're going to start promoting that event to get it on people's calendars?
Right. We hope to start doing that within the next 2 weeks or so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Amy? Okay, well, I don't see any. So thank you, Amy. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very
and
much,
all
Beth.
that we can be learning. It's very timely.
Thank you.
So next up is for information and discussion, the Office of Public Health Liaisons from the Maricopa County Department of Public Health will provide an overview of their roles and current major projects across Maricopa County. The discussion will be led by Alexandra Oropresa, lead public health liaison and Southwest Region liaison, my buddy. She'll be joined by her colleagues Martin Nowakowski and Alejandra Zavala, Crystal Walker, and Judith Ramos. Welcome, all of you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Christina. So I'm Alexandra Oropesa, and do I need to say next slide or will I have the ability to? Yes, okay, wasn't sure. So again, as Christina mentioned, we are the Office of Public Health Liaisons. There's 5 of us that cover all of Maricopa County. Next slide, please. And there's really 3 things that we wanted to share with everybody today. So share a little bit about the history of our office, share some bullet points around why our office was created and what we do in the community. And then also share with you a couple of the projects that we're working on that are countywide. There's definitely lots of smaller projects that happen within each of our regions, but knowing that everybody in the audience is kind of all over Maricopa, we wanted to keep the presentation general. Next slide, please. So the Office of Public Health Liaisons actually started back in 2020 during COVID. And the reason for that is because as county leadership, the Director of Public Health, as well as other leaders within public health, really wanted to make sure that as we were responding to COVID-19, that we were going to be equitable. Across Maricopa County, I'm sure all of you are very well aware that we have over 4 million residents, some rural, some urban. And so in an effort to be able to cover all of Maricopa County, we regionalized Maricopa County. So as you can see on this map here, there's 5 regions. I will say Southwest is the largest because of landmass. There's a lot of dirt and a lot of just desert landscaping in the West Valley. But our largest region is actually Central, very high density population, a little over 2 million residents live there alone. So we wanted to make sure that we had good coverage. I will say the way that the regions were established did not align with the Board of Supervisor regions. And one of the reasons we did that is because we didn't want to divide cities. So for example, for my region, starting in Tellison, there is some overlap with Central as far as zip codes, and we didn't want to do that. So that's why we really stuck to cities. As far as our goals, so there are really 3 goals that we focus on. The first is we want to be regional eyes and ears for county leadership. So as we're out in the community, meeting with partners, meeting with cities, meeting with the community members and organizations, any information that we learn is really helpful to leadership, because sometimes, and I'm sure you all experience this, a lot of what's happening in the community doesn't make its way into a report the same year that it's relevant. Or for some reports, it takes several years for that data really to get into a report somewhere. And so having that anecdotal information, having that lived experience within the regions, I think is one of the most impactful things that we can offer leadership at Maricopa County. The other thing that we focus on is understanding regional policies and systems. So as an example, the policies that are in place in the city of Phoenix may not be the same policies that are in place in Goodyear. And we understand that that's because government tries to be as responsive as possible to their residents in supporting the health issues or any issues really through policies. And so we know not all cities have the same policies. So as you're all adopting new policies or proposing new initiatives, our goal is to understand what those initiatives mean for health for our residents and how we can support the work that's happening. Ultimately, our goal as public health is to make sure that we have a healthy, safe, and thriving community. That's our mission. And so we know that we can accomplish that by building partnerships and relationships. And that's really where number 3 comes into play, being that bridge between everybody out in the community, all of the stakeholders out there into leadership, so that we can help leadership make better informed decisions that will really support the well-being of our residents across all 5 regions. Next slide. So the first person that I will introduce is Judy. She's our Southeast liaison. Judy, can you hear us?
My apologies, I stayed muted. So good afternoon, and thank you for your time. My name is Judith Ramos, and I'm the Southeast Public Health Liaison for Maricopa County. And although it is a small, in terms of the large map, a small segment, it's actually the largest segment in terms of population next to Phoenix, or the central area. I oversee cities as Guadalupe, Tempe, Mesa, Chandler, Gilbert, portions of Apache Junction, portions of Queen Creek, as well as the unincorporated Sun Lakes area, which is primarily senior citizens. Thank you. Oh, and next slide, please, and I will introduce Martin.
My name is Martin Nowakowski. I'm Public Health Liaison for the Northwest region of Maricopa County. And these serve the great communities of, we have Aguila, which is west of Wickenburg. We have El Mirage. Hey, Amber, see you out there in the audience. Glendale, Peoria, the retirement community of Sun Cities, Wickenburg, Youngtown, Surprise, unincorporated areas such as Morristown and Whitman. And what's great about the Northwest is we have great amenities. We have Cardinal Stadium, Westgate, Lake Pleasant. We also have an Air Force Base. Next slide up is Krista Walker.
Thank you. Krista Walker. I am the Public Health Liaison for the Northeast region, which covers Cave Creek, Fountain Hills, Paradise Valley, Carefree, and Scottsdale. Next slide will be Alejandra.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alejandra Zavala, and I do have the largest region, which is the Central region, which covers Phoenix, Laveen, New River, and Anthem. Something really unique about my region is City of Phoenix is the only city in Maricopa County that have a public health office. So I work really closely with their team. Next slide, I will give it back to Alexandra Lopez.
Thank you, team. So as Christina mentioned, I do serve as the lead for the team, but I also serve Maricopa County cities. So that's Avondale, Buckeye, Goodyear, Gila Bend, Litchfield Park, Tolleson, and Tonopah. And I've been with the county for a little over actually in August, it'll be 4 years. Time just flies. So I do have the great pleasure to work with Christina and all of the other cities out in the West Valley. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, I did want to take a moment to talk about some of the projects that we've been working on recently. So as I mentioned earlier, we were all hired on during COVID. And so for those of you who went out to our points of distribution back in 2021, when the vaccines were released, each of the liaisons was responsible for supporting the distribution of vaccines. And then COVID definitely took some time to exit out of our community, at least on the pandemic level of things. So we were then activated to support the Mpox response a couple of years ago, and then more recently supporting the measles response. And so I highlight those things because what really guides our work, aside from cities and towns and our partners asking for specific support as it relates to improving health, other things that guide our work are public health priorities. So the first thing that I'll go over is heat relief. So on your screen, you can see the heat relief dashboard or toolkit, and there is a link in the presentation as well to this landing page. But as you all know, last year we had an incredible number of people die due to heat-related issues. And so I would probably say in the fall of last year is where we really started to focus on what we could do differently this upcoming heat season, which started on May 1st and runs to the end of September. And one of the things that we've done is created this toolkit that gives you, anybody in the community really, information about what's going on with heat issues, resources. It also gives you an opportunity to have a better understanding of where you can find either water through a hydration station or even a respite location if being at home or not having a home if you're unsheltered, where you can go in and seek some relief. And so that's something that we've been planning for the last several months. And we have been collaborating with cities and towns as well, because we understand that this is a priority for our partners out in the cities. Next slide, please. And then I'll hand it over to Martin so that he can share with everybody the work that we're doing around opioid settlements. Martin?
So going back, as you may have heard nationally, over 3,000 lawsuits were filed by various state and local governments against companies that played a role in our opioid crisis. These companies included pharmaceutical manufacturers, distributors, and pharmacy chains. You may recognize some of the companies involved, such as Purdue Pharma, Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, and Kroger, to name a few. So as a result of the lawsuits, these companies are paying out over $50 billion in restitution to settle the lawsuits. In Arizona, what we have is called the One Arizona Agreement. It establishes the terms for the distribution and spending of the settlement funds. So along with the state of Arizona, local governments such as counties, all cities and towns are receiving $1.14 billion share, which will be distributed over the next 18 years. So the state government is receiving $502 million, or 44% of the funds, while local governments such as the county, cities, and towns are receiving $639 million, which is 56% of the settlement funds, which are coming to Arizona. In Maricopa County, the Department of Public Health serves as the lead agency for the administration of the settlement funds. So for the Maricopa County government, we also are responsible for arranging payments to the 25 municipalities that call Maricopa County home. And this is where that map is very helpful, because not all cities and towns have to choose to accept the settlement funds. In the case where a city or town opts out of receiving the settlement funds, their portion of the settlement funds is reassigned to the county. So the Maricopa County Department of Health gets to decide how the funds are to be spent. So about a half dozen or so cities and towns have opted not to accept the funds. This decision could be due to the low dollar amount proportionally they're getting. That's based on population and impact of the opioid epidemic on their community. It could be staffing capacity issues and the amount of time to track and report the funds. It's better to pull the monies together for a bigger amount. So that's some of the reasons. The settlement funds may be used for items such as opioid education, prevention, treatment, rehab resources, harm reduction strategies, prison and jail opioid programs, data collection. Local governments can spend money to plan their efforts, coordinate the efforts, perform needs assessments, spend money on infrastructural needs such as staffing. So far, Maricopa County has performed a substance use needs assessment. We collected data on services, collaborations, and populations being served, and learned about the effectiveness of our current strategies throughout the 5 public health regions. We also partnered with cities on a 2-year public health fellowship program to help cities identify strategies for reducing substance use and help them develop programs that address community needs. Also, like Alexandra mentioned, look at policies within the city that could be updated and keep tabs on what's out there. As of March of this year, the Maricopa County has allocated $6.3 million from the settlement funds. About $2.5 million went to the Maricopa County Corrections Services, and that money was for programming for meds for opioid use disorder, MOUDs we call it. So that's happening in our county jails. The county board awarded approximately $2 million to 12 community-based organizations, and that was done through a competitive RFP process. And that's to expand youth prevention and treatment programs, bolster harm reduction programs, enhance processes for, transferring a person from one facility to another for services. So some of the community-based organizations receiving funding is Banner Health Foundation, Banner Poison and Drug Center, Chicanos por la Causa, Community Bridges, Community Medical Service. The list goes on. Not My Kid, Teros. Maricopa County also allocated $750,000 to support the purchase of naloxone. And we're working with shelters, county contractors, and the city of Phoenix and community partners to distribute naloxone for free in our community. And about $170,000 went to expand public health staff capacity so we can help measure the impact of how the opioid settlement dollars are being spent and to assist with the implementation oversight of the funded programs. The last thing I'll touch on is in August of last year, Maricopa County Department of Public Health started hosting quarterly opioid settlement roundtable meetings with city and town staff members throughout our regions. And the main purpose was for the Maricopa County to share the latest information related to the opioid settlement funds. But in return, we asked the city and town participants to share with us what's happening in your community, in their cities, in your regions, such as, share about local initiatives, substance use programming, partnerships that are occurring, resources occurring at the city level. It's really about getting cities together in our regions to work in the spirit of communication and collaboration versus, spirit of competition that may come with economic development. When it comes to opioid, it's a battle, it's a war we're all waging, and we at the county want to do it collaboratively. I hope you appreciated that update. I'll turn it back to Alexandra in the next slide.
Thank you, Martin. So this last slide's here just as a list of each of our names, our contact information, and then the cities that we serve so that you don't have to try and remember where we all work. But by all means, we just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I don't know if we have time for questions, but if we do, we're happy to field any questions you might have, or you're more than welcome to reach out to us anytime you have any questions about public health programming, anytime you have any ideas for how to address different health issues that you're seeing out in the community. And thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the group?
Madam Chair, this is Amber Wakeman.
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you, especially to Martine, for the county support and guidance. I believe just an invaluable tool, and I just wanted to thank you, all you representatives out there doing the work you do. It's just so very important, and El Mirage really appreciates it. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to also give a shout out to Alexandra. She's been a great resource at bringing suggested outreach and engagement opportunities to Goodyear. Do any of the other municipalities have examples of partnerships that you have had with public health?
So hi, this is Susan Hallett with the City of Phoenix, and I was trying to, is it Alejandra that's got the Phoenix region? And I think you mentioned this, that we've got an Office of Public Health. So I think it's been in business for a couple of years now, and I'm just amazed at how we survived prior to having it, because they are involved in all sorts of different things. And I'm sure I've heard about some of the collaborations with the Maricopa County Department of Public Health. So want to say, appreciate that. You guys are the experts, and I'm sure that there's been a lot of, onboarding of that new office that you've done just by conversation. So appreciate it. But that's about as much as I know.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? I know we're excited to have public health in Goodyear. Oh, Mary Lynn.
Well, we've been working with the health department also and Walgreens, and we're able last year to put over 3,000 shots in the arm for COVID, flu, and other like pneumonia and so forth. And so they've been a great partner, and we're going to continue the partnership this fall again.
That's great. Awesome. Okay, well, Alexandra, I emailed you about, I need to follow up with you about the U of A mobile thing you were telling me about. So we'll touch base another time. And thank you all for being here today and for what you're doing throughout the county.
Thanks for having us.
Next up is for information. It's an opportunity for members to share updates on current events, challenges, and opportunities from your respective city or organization. We had this on the agenda for a while, kind of under two names, both this and the language lightning round. Lightning round came off and this one stayed on, and I just would like to encourage us to use the mindset of lightning round for this, because you all have such great things to share. And that's what the purpose of this time is. Like, tell us what you've been up to since the last time we've met, and what your successes are, and what's new and exciting that we can all learn from or support you with. Does anyone have anything to share? Mary Lynn?
Yes, this Saturday, June 15th, is the annual World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And we used to talk about 1 in 10 older adults as a victim of elder abuse, but that statistic's gotten worse. It's now 1 in 6, and it includes physical abuse, sexual assault, financial exploitation, neglect, all of that. So, just be aware of it, and talk to your older friends about reaching out, if they themselves or if they know of somebody who's being abused, they can always call our 24-hour senior helpline, which is 602-264-HELP, which is 602-264-4357. But we can connect them up with resources if they need it.
Thank you. Any idea what they attribute that increase to?
What was your question, Christina?
Is there anything that the increase or in the number of victims to?
Well, probably the fact that people are getting older and living longer. And so, through good medicine and good care, they are living longer, but they're dependent upon a caregiver. Most of the elder abuse is by a family member or someone they know. And so, they need someone to, help them with banking, which gives an opportunity to steal from them. They need someone to come in and, help them take their meds. And then we know, of course, that as children who are drug addicts or have a criminal record, and they get out of prison and they come and live with, mom or grandmother. And that's a great opportunity for them to financially exploit them and even get mad at them every time they spill their coffee or leave the stove on or whatever it is. So, it's, and a lot of times with people losing jobs and having to move in with parents and grandparents, it just gives them a great opportunity to take advantage of them.
Thank you. That's very unfortunate.
Yes.
Anybody have something to update us on or share? Elena?
Hello. Last time we met, I had mentioned that we were gearing up for another grassroots and small nonprofit grant opportunity. So thank you all for sharing some of that out to your networks. We had over 90 applicants. Our team is currently reviewing and doing some internal background checks to make sure that they're valid 501c3s and all of that information. So by the next time that we come together, I can share a bit more around that. So yeah, exciting to partner with new organizations for another goal. So thank you all for your help in getting the word out.
Awesome. We look forward to hearing what winds up getting funded, and especially if there's anything cutting edge. Anyone else?
This is Jury Guajardo with City of Avondale. I have a couple of updates for the group. The first one is that we are very excited because this summer, in partnership with our microtransit, which is WeRide, we are able to offer rides to location sites that offer the Kids Cafe meal at no cost to families. So that has been really great to see more families be able to participate in that program. As many of you guys know, first of all, the increase in food costs has hit everyone, but especially during the summertime when kids are home, families are really struggling to make those dollars stretch for food. So the other thing to mention about our summer feeding program is that we also have expanded that to Saturdays. There really is not many sites that offer the lunches on Saturdays, so that has also been a huge help for families. And then we are releasing RFQ today. It should be on BidNet. And what we are looking for is nonprofit organizations that are wanting to help administer some of our opioid settlement funds, specifically for youth opioid prevention services and mentoring services. So if you guys know any organizations or any of your organizations are interested, please put in a quote, because we are looking to get a prevention program running pretty quickly here. And then finally, I will just mention that we were selected to be an Arizona Diaper Bank location. So we're very excited about that and being able to offer more assistance to the community. So we will be able to provide incontinence products, feminine period products, and then also diapers. So that's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you for all those updates and for the important role you play in the Southwest Valley. Melanie.
Hello. In Gilbert, we were excited that this year we were able to expand our heat relief respite site. So we have an opportunity to have something open basically, Monday through Friday, Monday to Thursday at a location, partnering with one of our nonprofits that also runs the iHealth program. So those folks are able to actually get transported from after the evening shelter in the morning. If they don't have a place to be or go or a job, they actually come right into the respite site. We end up with a case manager at that location, which is really working well. It's still, the location itself is volunteer based, and then those volunteers are providing a lunch every day, which has been really nice. And then we got a corporate sponsorship where we actually do kind of like Takeout Tuesday, where we actually order a lunch during the week as well for those who are participating. But it also gives us an opportunity to bring people in that our public safety staff may find out on the street, and have them be able to come in and connect and potentially start that conversation about shelter. However, what I wanted to put out there is we're a little frustrated right now because we have a 71-year-old woman who has definitely some medical conditions, and at one point had expressed that yes, she was ready for shelter. She's definitely been a chronic homeless, probably on the street for 10+ years. Had said yes at one point. She had been hospitalized and had all kinds of people working with her, and then she refused. And then now she calls for assistance a couple times a weekend. She's at a bus stop because she has a hard time moving, and so she wants people to move her, bring her a bottle of water, things like that. But we have tried to do the involuntary commitment, because right now we do feel like she's not going to be able to survive the summer out there. And yet twice now, when we've taken her, the doctors will not sign off on having her admitted. And so I don't know if anyone else has found anyone who has had more success, but we've gone in twice now with all the paperwork, and the doctor has said no, that she doesn't have dementia, so she's of sound mind. She's saying no, and it's her choice, which seems to be it's a poor choice. and obviously she's becoming she is not safe out there, and when she calls out for many times for service. So I don't know if anyone's had any of the experiencers found any luck, or what kind of messaging we need to be able to do in order to get her accepted into something that would keep her, because just not long ago, just this last week, we lost a person who had also chronic homeless, and he actually, we had been working with him. He had been up for a job, but he just would not come into shelter, and he passed away, and we're pretty sure it's heat related. So we're trying to prevent the same thing from happening, but we can't seem to get someone to accept our analysis and recommendation that she, at this point, at least be involuntarily put there until she can get some of the other things stabilized. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on if they've had any luck with that.
Anyone?
If I may, Madam Chair, it's Cherie Guajardo with City of Avondale again. So if you haven't went this route yet, Melanie, you may want to take the Adult Protective Services route and allow Adult Protective Services to intervene and determine whether or not they can help out. Because if she's not able to make sound decisions for herself that keep her safe, then that may be a route to go.
And we have tried that, and for some reason, they keep saying because she's not been diagnosed or doesn't have dementia or other things, they're saying she is sound mind. She says no. She says no to the help. And yet, medically, it's an impact on her, and she can't move, and so we don't know how to get past that. When they say, well, she said she doesn't want to, so you can't make her. But that's kind of the whole point of a PAD.
She has no family around, I assume. Okay.
Can't find any family. She has a strong like pension or social security. So she's getting about $1,900 to $2,300 a month. So she has a source of income as well. She just will not, we even tried to put her in a hotel, try to put her in, and it's a no. And so I don't know how to get past that. And especially when a doctor will not then help us create a safer situation for her. So.
And the reality is that an older adult or an adult has the right to choose how they want to live. And you can offer the help, but it's not like a child where you take them out of an abusive home and put them into, foster care or whatever. An older adult has the right to live the lifestyle they want, even though we know that it's not in the best interest for them. Mm-hmm. And unless someone is abusing them or taking advantage of them, I don't believe APS will respond to.
Right. Melanie, do you have a city paramedicine team or something that might make a visit? And
we've had everybody.
Okay.
We've had our crisis response team. We've had Circle the City. We've had CBI. We've had pretty much every group we can think of that have been out there. Social workers, everybody. So
I just know sometimes when we have paramedicine visit and then we get an assessment from them and that goes to APS, then sometimes they respond better to.
Well, that's like we've had 2 different PADs written up and show all the documentation, but when we get them, then CBI's health, the doctors say no, they won't actually sign off on accepting them. And so then we went the Circle the City route to see if that would help, and they couldn't do anything either. So we just didn't know if there's anything else out there. Anyone else thinks of something, let me know.
Kristen, did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to add, so this is Christian from Buckeye. Since she's had services through CBI and some of those other entities, I imagine she, with that case management, she should be elevated during the West Valley case conferencing meeting, which happens every third Thursday of the month. The next one is on the 20th next week. So I would suggest with whoever she was most recently receiving case management from, for them to bring her case up. That way, collectively, everybody who can assess and maybe think outside the box can help provide further assistance for guidance.
I'll make that suggestion to them.
And if you send me a little more information, I can alert them. I usually will be attending those as well, so I can, speak on your behalf and advocate for the client as well.
I'll see if I can figure out who's in charge of her at the moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
And then, and I could also add that in the city of Buckeye recently, we have an initiative for Buckeye to become dementia-friendly city. So that's with partnership with the Banner Alzheimer's Institute and South Hills Research Institute. So I believe the application's in the process. We're just waiting for everything to go through. So we're jumping on board.
Great. Awesome.
Gilbert is also doing that. We are also doing dementia-friendly city.
Great.
Awesome. Well, that brings something up, or brings us to the next item. If someone had something to share, please feel free to add it in this section also. But request for future agenda items. And I know Goodyear has dementia-friendly Goodyear that is run through a home instead. Senior services, and with Buckeye and Gilbert being dementia friendly, and I know other cities are too. Can we have an agenda item about dementia-friendly communities and what that looks like in each of our cities that are participating? And then also maybe introduce the concept to any cities that aren't dementia-friendly.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea, almost like a panel. If Mag would survey the cities and see, who's doing what, and then maybe give each city 5 minutes to talk about what their major focus is, that would be really great.
Awesome.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we would be happy to pull that together for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other suggestions? I have another one, of course, but okay, well, here's the deal. I sound like a broken record here for those of you who have been here a while, but this committee initially was really chartered because we were making the recommendation for SSBG funding allocations. And it's such a small part of what we do. And I mean, it clearly is not the most engaging element of this group. I feel like we get the best participation really when we're sharing our successes and networking. So I wanted to float to you all what your thoughts are about meeting less frequently and less formally, and perhaps in person, so that we can find ways or places where we have things in common, that if something comes up like this dementia friendly, we can have like a work group shoot off meeting about that. But when we come together, it can be more informal sharing of successes, like Melanie's troubleshooting, like she just shared. What are your thoughts?
I'm for it 100%. And if anybody would like to take opportunity to do it on a micro scale, we do meet every last Thursday of the month at the Buckeye Downtown Library. It's the network meeting. So partners that have clients across the full county, not just specific to Buckeye, we share, exchange ideas to collaboratively come up with how we can enhance the communities. So everybody's welcome. Let me know if you'd like to join, and I can blast you with the emails.
So along those lines too, and I do see a lot of nodding heads. So Amy, is that a good direction for, and then so what I'd like to do in August, this was set up initially before COVID, and then COVID happened and we didn't get to come together. So what I'd like to do, if you all are open and interested, is we meet in person in August, and we have each city's most recent community assessment provided to MAG in advance. It may already be on MAG's website if you haven't updated it. So take a look at what MAG has for you. If they don't have your most current one, if you could get that over to Mimi, I am guessing. Okay. And then we'll facilitate a couple hour exercise where we all get a chance to look at a hard copy version of each as in small groups in person at this meeting, and pull out things that jump out at us in terms of what does that mean? I want more information, or there's a common denominator here, or we're having that problem too, or we have a suggestion for that problem. And then we'll have a facilitated discussion even more around that. And if there's anything that comes out of that, that would lead to maybe some of the first work groups. Because the other thing that happens to this committee is we hear about an opportunity, and it is kind of the home belongs to another existing committee, like domestic violence or the continuum of care. But so this would either be something we tap into those resources for, or we create our own work group for something that doesn't already have a home. Is everyone interested in that idea? And can I get you to put it on your calendar now? Make sure it's on there so that you can be at MAG in person, because it really, no one's going to do homework and read through every city's community assessment before you show up. And no one's asking you to read through a complete community assessment. But if you come in person and have hands-on and skim to the best of your ability in the room, that will suffice. So can I get a commitment from everybody to be there and invite friends as appropriate? Awesome.
Would we, Madam Chair, be able to have a hybrid option if we aren't able to do this in person?
I think it will be difficult to do a hybrid option because of the way that the format would be and the discussion and being adaptable. But can you help me understand what barriers might be to being there in person?
It's more staffing. I mean, we're gearing into our con plan at that particular time as well. I'm just not sure if it's realistic for me at this point. We've been able to manage remote, and I know some are also offering hybrid, so I wanted to bring that up.
Okay. I'm going to be meeting with Amy to discuss it more specifically, so we'll talk about if that is a possibility. Thank you.
And the meeting is August 8th that you're talking about, right, Christina?
Yes, at 2 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, so like on my calendar, I just put out the hour before travel time and the hour after travel time.
Same. Maybe give it a little, just take it through the end of the day. There's a great place for happy hour that I am happy to lead us all to. Actually, there's a couple. So if we can have some social time together, that would be great too. Awesome. All right. Well, stay tuned for more information. Thank you all for being here today. I think with no further business, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.